Hello, at PrimeTek we develop open source UI component libraries. And making a living out of open source is very tricky. So in this video, I'd like to go through my experiences about how we managed to do it, what went wrong, and what are the good decisions that we made. So if you have an open source project that you're planning to monetize in some sort of way, maybe some of these experiences will apply for you as well, or at least be useful. So it started with PrimeFaces in 2008. It's a UI component library for Java. Since 2010, it got picked up by the community after 2 years of development, and we've started to wonder if we can, actually I'm saying we, but I was working I'm used to saying we. I was working as a single developer. So I started to wonder if I can make a living out of this. So the first thing I did was training and consulting. It was a lot of traveling, but then I realized there should be an easier way so that I can focus a lot of time on the project without all the traveling and outside work. So I created the professional support, where the service guarantees that there will be a response within one business day so that users don't need to go through GitHub issues and track GitHub discussions. So it went well. The majority of the enterprise companies decided to go for it. Some even never used it because many have policies saying that if you're going to use open source, there has to be professional support. So that went well, and still PrimeFaces, after years, like after 15 years, still we have numerous professional support service users for PrimeFaces as well. Then I made a mistake, one of the biggest mistakes. I think thinking now, it was like more than 10 years ago, but it was very stupid. I decided to sell the documentation for $10. So I know it sounds really bad, but I was actually, I was going nowhere. Either the project was going to stop, or I was quite close to being broke. So it went well, more or less, because there were many people who loved the project. It was like a PrimeFaces ebook sort of way, but the majority of the good stuff of the documentation was there. But I decided to cancel it because it felt wrong, and decided to come up with the professional service as a replacement. That was it. So never try to sell your documentation. It never works. And the next part was that we tried, it was called this designer stuff of like a theme generator, how you can customize the themes of the UI component libraries. We decided to make it a paid add-on as well, but it really blocked the growth. So since last year, they're all open source and free, and we are working on some new enhancements on that as well. So it's like saying that, okay, I have this nice UI component library, but to customize the colors, you have to pay me. Never works. And because we made some important revenue, but considering the pros and cons related to growth, it was something that we can just let go. But then we came up with we checked out the theme forest. There were many paid themes to choose from, like application themes with nice menus and dashboards. And then we decided to come up with templates, and that was a game changer for us. Because right now the projects was sponsoring themselves. We did it for PrimeFaces, PrimeNG, PrimeTek, and PrimeView. Right now you can see all of our templates. So it's like you do it once, you keep improving it, and then it gives the users a nice, an easier way to kickstart their applications with a nice professional designed application template. Then the Tailwind UI popped up, and it was like some people were not happy with the templates of the theme forest, because unlike our templates, they're like, I think, full of bloat. They just they don't develop the UI components. On our side, we develop the UI components and use those components to implement the templates. But people were picking table from somewhere, tab component from somewhere, and it was all bloat. Then the Tailwind UI came out, like with the blocks like idea, where you can copy paste stuff and build your own layout and templates. And we also, and many other UI libraries just got inspired from that, and we implemented Prime blocks with PrimeFlex. There was also a Tailwind version coming up. So Yeah, that was also really good, and PrimeBlock's sales are really sponsoring the project. Remember that PrimeTek doesn't have any project or investment, so it's like projects are sponsoring themselves. And what we do is that we develop multiple libraries. PrimeNG, PrimeFaces sponsored PrimeNG. PrimeNG sponsors PrimeRack and PrimeView, and hopefully PrimeRack and PrimeView will sponsor the upcoming projects. So right now, 15 people are working full time on these libraries. And the next thing that I missed was, I think I wished I did it earlier, it was the Figma UI kit. As a developer, I didn't really care about the design tools and processes. I just write the code. But turns out after the popularity of the design tools like Figma, there was some other tools as well. Then the process changed. There was usually the designers just came up with the idea, the plan, the design, and then the developers implemented. And right now you see some AI movement on that part as well to speed up the process, which we're also working on. So we decided to implement our Figma UI kit and make it a paid add-on, and now working on tokens because it gives you many opportunities. Now we can even provide a generator from Figma to theme, which will be a way to monetize the project as well. So it opens up many possibilities. So templates, blocks, and Figma UI kit was the third one, after support, of course. But support is tricky. With support, it's not like we have our own store and we put up the project, we paid add-on. It's optional. People may like it, they just purchase it. But support, you have to actively get involved because you promise that you will answer in one business day. You have to expand the team, so it's not like really passive income. You have to actually work on the customer's case and try to help the user out. So another thing was that we are working on is this LTS. So for example, with PrimeNG, the older releases are now required an LTS subscription, but the open source versions do not. So that in case you are stuck on an older version of Angular, you can still get actively developed PrimeNG, which is optional. So all of the things I've listed here, like templates, blocks, they're optional. We're not forcing anyone to purchase them. That's the trick that I think that's the best of both worlds. You provide some paid add-ons, but never force anyone to purchase them. And what we are coming up using the same idea, which is the builder that we are working on, that's the UI generator with drag and drop tools, with Prime blocks that combines everything in the Prime ecosystem, and the designer where you can generate themes from Figma or create your own design with styled and unstyled mode, and it will be another tool. Also, we're working on a text-based AI tool that will generate Prime UIs, like give me a Prime React data table with these columns and make them sortable. So that's also coming up. All of these are optional, as you've seen. And this is just one thing. Some libraries just, for example, if you check out some other libraries, they have the basic table version, but some table versions like expandable rows or scrolling are paid. We don't do that. We just believe that the core should be always open source and free. But what we're working on is that we are planning to come up with some paid components, like highly advanced suite, like not something that you face with every day. Usually component libraries, smaller ones, have avatars, badge, things like that, and they have a library. But the thing we're working on, which I call Prime Suite, will be the really advanced, like sheet component that mimics Excel, like spreadsheet, like functionality. The full calendar, like where you have appointments, Gantt charts, HTML editors, not something that really high level, highly complex stuff, which I think people will understand the complexity behind it, so that they will consider paying. So over the years, as I mentioned, right now it's a teamwork right now, and after some point we've just realized that we have to expand our team. And in this video I try to summarize what worked for us. So to sum up, never try to sell the documentation, never try to sell some customization options like the theme designer, because it will be like, okay, here's my nice UI library, but to able to read it, to able to learn how to use it, like the documentation, you have to pay. Once you pay, you have to pay again to customize the colors and so on. That's just bad attempts. So I think we're heading in a nice direction with the unstyled mode and things like that with optional add-ons. So it's like best of both worlds. So hopefully, I mean, again, as a side note to open source, I mean, this is just from a perspective of a UI library. Maybe you have something related to backend and API or some other open source, any kind of open source project. So maybe you can just realize the market, check out the competition if there are any similar libraries, see what they are doing, and try to come up with some optional add-ons with some limits, and try to come up with, which we're also working on, try to come up with like a subscription-based model, because you don't want to worry about your income every month. So if you just, to make it sustainable, you got to work on the cash flow and make sure that you're getting paid every month, because if you focus on one-time payments like we did in the past, there will be stress for the founders. Okay, this month was pretty good, but I don't know anything, because you cannot make any decision based on a certain month revenue. It has to be sustainable, and instead it has to be continuous. So that's why the subscription-based models are always preferable. So that's why we are working on, because if you check out the templates, it's not possible for a user to buy the template twice or the Prime blocks twice. So we're working on some more like subscription-based paid add-ons in the future to make it even more sustainable. Okay, that's it from me, and hopefully you just got some ideas on this video from our experiences, and hopefully I see you on the next video. Thank you.